Perks of Being Wallflower, page 91, May 17th, 1992. Dear friend, it seems like every morning since that first night I wake up dull and my head hurts and I can't breathe. Patrick and I have been spending a lot of time together. We drink a lot. Actually, it's more like Patrick drinks and I sip. It's just hard to see a friend hurt this much, especially when you can't do anything except be there. I want to make him stop hurting, but I can't. So I just follow him around whenever he wants to go. Show me his world. One night, Patrick took me to this park where men go to find each other. Patrick told me if I didn't want to be bothered by anyone, I should just not make eye contact. He said that eye contact is how you agree to fool around with somebody anonymously. Nobody talks, they just find places to go. After a while, Patrick saw someone he liked. He asked me if I needed any cigarettes, and when I said no, he patted my shoulder and walked away with this boy. I sat on the bench looking around. All I saw were shadows of people, some on the ground, some by a tree, some just walking. It was so quiet. After a few minutes, I lit a cigarette and I heard somebody whisper. "You got an extra?" the voice asked. I turned around and saw a man in shadow. "Sure," I said. I reached out to hand the man a cigarette and he took it. "You got a light?" he said. "Sure," I said, and I struck the match for him. Instead of just leaning down and lighting the cigarette, he reached out to make a cup around the match with our hands, which is something we all do when it was windy. But it wasn't windy. I think he just wanted to touch my hand because while he was lighting the cigarette, he did it for a lot longer than necessary. Maybe he wanted me to see his face over the glow of the match, to see how handsome he was. I don't know. He did look familiar, but I couldn't figure out from where. "Thanks," he exhaled. "No problem," I said. "Mind if I sit down?" he asked. "Not really." He sat down and said a few things, and it was his voice. I recognized his voice. So I lit another cigarette and looked at his face, and I thought hard, and that's when I figured it out. It was the guy on the TV who does sports. "Nice night," he said. I couldn't believe it. I guess I just managed to nod because he kept talking about sports. He kept talking about how the designated hitter in baseball was bad and why basketball was a commercial success and what teams looked promising in college football. He even mentioned my brother's name, I swear. All I said was, "So what's it like being on television?" It must have been the wrong thing to say because he just got up and walked away. It was too bad because I wanted to ask him if he thought my brother would have a shot at making it to the pros. Another night, Patrick took me to this place where they sell poppers, which is this drug you inhale. They didn't have poppers, but the guy behind the counter had something that was just as good. So Patrick bought that. It was in an aerosol can. We both took a sniff of it, and I swear we thought we were going to die of a heart attack. All in all, I think Patrick took me to about every place there is to go I wouldn't have known about otherwise. There was this karaoke bar on one of the main streets in the city, and there was this dance club, and this one bathroom and this one gym. All these places. Sometimes Patrick would pick up guys, sometimes he wouldn't. He said it was hard being safe and you never know. The nights he would pick up someone always made him sad. It's hard too because Patrick began every night really excited. He always said he felt free and tonight was his destiny and things like that. But by the end of the night, he just looked sad. Sometimes he would talk about Brad and sometimes he wouldn't. But after a while, the whole thing just wasn't interesting to him anymore, so he ran out of things to keep himself numb. So tonight he dropped me off at home. It was the night we went back to the park where men meet. That night he saw Brad with some guy. Brad was too into what he was doing to notice us. Patrick didn't say anything. He didn't do anything. He just walked back to the car and we drove in silence. On the way, he threw a bottle of wine out the window and it landed with a crash. And this time he didn't try to kiss me like he had every night. He just thanked me for being his friend and drove away. Love always, Charlie. May 21st. The school year is just about over. We have another month or so to go, but the seniors like my sister and Sam and Patrick only have a couple of weeks. Then they have the prom and graduation and they're all busy making plans. Mary Elizabeth is taking her new boyfriend, Peter. My sister is taking Eric. Patrick is going with Alice. And Craig agreed to go with Sam this time. They have even rented a limo and everything. Not my sister, though. She's going in her new boyfriend's car, which is a Buick. Bill has been very sentimental lately because he can feel his first year of teaching coming to an end. At least that's what he said to me. He was planning on going to New York and writing plays, but he told me he doesn't really think he wants to do that anymore. He really likes teaching kids English, and he thinks maybe he can take over the drama department next year too. I guess he's been thinking about it a lot because he hadn't given me a new book to read since The Stranger. He did ask me to watch a lot of movies, though, and write an essay about what I thought about all those movies. The movies were The Graduate, Harold and Maude, My Life as a Dog, Dead Poet Society, and a movie called The Unbelievable Truth, which was very hard to find. I watched all the movies in one day. It was great. The essay I wrote was similar to the past essays I wrote because everything Bill tells me to read are similar, except that time he had me read Naked Lunch. Incidentally, he told me he had given me the book because he had just broken up with his girlfriend and he was feeling philosophical. I guess that's why he was sad that afternoon when we talked about On the Road. He apologized for letting his personal life affect his teaching, and I accepted it because I didn't know what else to do. It's strange to think about your teachers as being people, even when they're Bill. I guess he has since made up with his girlfriend and they're living together now. At least that's what he said. So in school, Bill gave me my final book to read for the year. It's called The Fountainhead, and it's very long. When he gave me the book, Bill said, "Be skeptical about this one. It's a great book, but try to be a filter, not a sponge." Sometimes Bill forgets that I'm 16, and I'm very happy that he does. I haven't started reading it yet because I'm very behind with my other classes because I spent so much time with Patrick. But if I catch up, I will end my first year with straight A's, which makes me very happy. I almost didn't get an A in math, but then Mr. Carlo told me to stop asking why all the time and just follow the formulas. So I did. Now I get perfect scores on all my tests. I wish I knew what the formulas did. I honestly have no idea. I was thinking about that when I first wrote to you. I was afraid of starting high school. Today it felt good, so it's kind of funny. By the way, Patrick stopped drinking the night he saw Brad in the park. I guess he's feeling better. He just wants to graduate and go to college now. I saw Brad in detention the Monday after I saw him at the park, and he looked just like he always looks. Love always, Charlie.